Campbell, good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sam Somley. I live at 2746 Southeast Eagle Drive in Fort St. Lucie. I was here a couple of weeks ago, talked a little bit about charrettes that the 750 has been having, supposedly. And I said my wife and I are a small computer company, or a small company that specializes in data center construction support. The first thing on the agenda when we start a project is to call in all the stakeholders that have skin in the game. That would be the owners, the operators, the maintenance people, the subcontractors and the contractors that'll build it. And we get everybody's input on what their wants and needs are for the center when it's done. And when we get into the design phase, we make sure that all these needs are in there. 750 has had a series of these charrettes, but the stakeholders, which is us, 99.9% of us have never even heard of them. They had a session in West Palm Beach last June. I sat in on an agricultural breakout session. They did have an orange grower there at that session. He found out that he could, since orange growing is deemed unsustainable, he could have the department or the Corps of Engineers come in and bulldoze his grove, build dikes all around it, flood it with water, and rent that water to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, because the tourist business is considered sustainable and they need the water down there. There was one of the moderators, or one of the people on the panel was from the port of Miami, and he said the cruise ships leave every port in Florida every day taking with no water on board, and they make their own. They make millions of gallons at sea, just desalinizing the seawater. The rest of the panel completely ignored him as if he wasn't even there, because that was not on their agenda. Claiming land was their agenda, not making seawater. So considering the track record of the Corps of Engineers, I asked the group what would be the plan to back out of this thing if it didn't work out. You know, it could be another Kissimmee waterway that didn't work out, and this would be another one just like it. They said, well, that the lease with the farmer was for 10 years, and at the end of the 10 years he could opt out. Well, okay. In California, in San Diego, in the eastern part of the county, the developers, landowners, and the Bureau of Fish and Wildlife created no surprises easement on their property to determine how they would divvy up the property for development and for conservation. And they entered into a 50-year easement to do that. The plan worked for a while, and then Earth Justice, which used to be called Sierra Club Legal Defense Fund, sued because they were not taking proper care of 7 vernal entities, which was 2 of them were fairy shrimp and 5 of them were plants. They won. They won. They got that thrown out. While Fish and Wildlife had the 50-year easement, they're holding the easement, and the farmers or the developers are holding the bag. So, in Florida, with this 10-year water farm, EPA could come in and say, well, that's a wetlands now. You can't do anything with it because it's a wetlands. Or they could say some unknown species that we don't even know about has now taken up habitat there, so they cannot change, they cannot interfere with that new species, whatever it is. And so now the farmer, the water farmer, at the end of the 10 years, he doesn't really have any rights to his land. He can't do anything with it because the EPA has locked it up. Well, now Miami and Fort Lauderdale know that, so they say, we're not going to pay you near as much for your water as we have been. This next year, 10-year plan is going to be a lot lower rate.
Mr. Samley, the time is finished.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But we have no high ground between here and there, and we ask that you use the moral high ground to vote them out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.